I think we are divinity on the inside. And today that is something that is really, really important, I think, when we look at launching animal chaplains out into the world. So, Elaine, how about we have a conversation about this?
Hi, Reverend Sarah. I'm so glad you're here today. For one thing, I would like to do a small introduction for you. I'm not sure people realize how learned you are. Our Reverend Sarah has a BA in Human Ecology from Michigan State University, an MA in Religious Studies from Chicago Theological Seminary, a Master's of Divinity equivalent from One Spirit Interfaith Seminary, and a forever learner. She is currently completing postgraduate work in anthrozoology and humane religious studies. And there are rumors of a doctorate in her future.
And a big
So
stack of books to go with it.
you bet. So I wanted to let everybody know I am one of your students. I'm very blessed to be one of your students, and I love learning from you. And I think you were a gift to our animal chaplaincy program. And I'm so glad to be a part of it. So I wanted to let you know that.
And it is such a treat having you in the program in this cohort of wood dragons that we have right now. So it's just really it's my pleasure, and it's really a delight to be able to let the greater Compassion Consortium community know about this part of our work.
Yeah, well, I've learned a lot. As a Quaker, we don't have a lot of dogma or tenets, but I found deep within the animal chaplaincy a Quaker tradition, because one of our testimonies is stewardship of the earth. And that, of course, includes animals. And as I began to investigate it, I found quotes from the founder of the Quakers in 1650, telling people to be kind to animals and not to hunt them. So it has made me turn inwards towards my own faith, and yet helped me see from the so many wonderful people, so many views of animals I didn't even know existed.
8.7 million species. Yeah. So, the program itself is non-denominational, and it doesn't require students to have a specific outlook, spiritual or religious outlook, but it prepares people for a diverse set of belief systems. So we look at that, right? Especially Vanetta just teed up one of my favorite questions and my favorite species. Y'all know I talk about squirrels all the time. But one of the things we explore is that question of animal souls and its linking to animal values, or the value of animals, and how people look at that through all of the world's religious traditions. If I had $1 for every time someone asked me, does my animal have a soul, or does this animal have a soul? It's really one of those questions that we look at, and we look at from a lot of different perspectives. There's a lot of other questions we look at too. How do you survive animal loss? Or how can I get my synagogue or church or mosque or meditation center or wherever I am when I'm not at Compassion Consortium? How can I help them to try out plant-based eating as part of our climate change awareness program? Or how do you support animal care professionals and activists with burnout and well-being challenges? Or how do I help my community address human-wildlife conflicts? It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff that we look at in the program. And so animal chaplaincy is a pretty new field. And often, when I mention that I'm an animal chaplain to someone, they'll be like, "Oh, how cute. Do you bless pets?" And I'll say, "Well, yes, and and a lot of other things." So the program itself is it's actually kind of in chunks. The folks that we are going to be talking about today have just completed the 6-month certificate program. They've done 60 hours of live training. They've done over 120 hours of personal study in these topics we're talking about. Our 9-month folks will go on to ordination. They'll do 30 more hours of live training and practicums and a capstone project and all sorts of stuff to kind of launch themselves into the world as an animal chaplain, or to integrate animal chaplaincy into whatever they do. And I mentioned a little bit in the beginning of our service today about the wide diversity of ways that our students are involved in animal protection. And I think the last thing I would love to tell people about it is that the training has those live classes, but also has a sense of community. And we have a lot of guest speakers who come in to the program. So, you know, this year we've got the animal theologians, Claire and Andrew Lindsay. We've got Mark Beckoff and Zazie Todd and all sorts of folks who come in to help us understand the lives of animals more too. So it's not just about caring about them or loving them or having concern for them or keeping them from suffering. What do we know about them? What do we know about their umwelts or their viewpoints? So it's science and spirituality together. Did I do it justice, Elaine? You're in the program. What other insights do you have before we announce these folks and do some honoring? And I see you've got a guest speaker there
Ah,
ready.
she has to be here. I think you did it justice. I was just so surprised how it changed me. As a Quaker, we don't have a lot of ritual. I'm in love with ritual now. I really like. I have a mezuzah outside my door. I have a thurible, which are those smoke sensor things that they swing in church on order from Amazon. I've always smudged my house, but now I want a device to do it in. I am in love with bringing ritual into my life. And as you know, Sarah, I also am in love with the syllabus. I think the sources that we are advised to read and that we discuss have made me think in ways I never suspected. And also allowed me to hang out with people I never suspected I would hang out with. So thank you for that. And that's what I would say about the chaplaincy program. If you join it, get ready for some change within yourself and with how you look at the world and what you have to offer the world. All of the above.
I like that. Yeah. You know, what I have found is when we're only within our own groups, I mean, this happens in religion and this happens in animal issues as well, or animal studies or animal protection, animal care, whichever part of this puzzle you're part of, is if we're only talking to the people we agree with, if we're only talking to people where we're getting confirmation bias, like I like to listen to them because they believe like I do, we are not seeing the full picture and we're not able to attend to conflict when it arises, right? So how are we able to have conversations about you may have this belief, I may have this belief. Now, what are we going to do to try to solve this problem that we're seeing in the world when we have completely different viewpoints on it, or slightly different viewpoints, or what, you know, however that is. And so I really like to spend a lot of time with people. I love to spend time with people who believe like I do, sure. And I also love to spend time with people who push me and say, well, did you know, as an animal control officer, here's the stuff I'm facing. Or did you know, as someone who works in a crematorium, do you know that this is going on? Or as someone who works, you know, different kinds of roles that help us all learn from each other. Or did you know that as someone who trains dogs so that they aren't euthanized in shelters, or you know, all these different pieces. So I could go on forever, but we don't have time forever, and I'd like to get on to some of these folks that we are talking about today. So, Elaine, thank you for opening up your space of compassion in action, where we highlight something for us and for this program today. So, Phil, I know you've got some slides with some tiny, tiny little pictures in them to assist me here. And I also know that you're going to, and folks, this is going to make Phil nervous. But I'm going to ask him after I go through these if he would give folks the ability to turn on their video so that we can see the faces of these folks, of many of them who are with us here today, and just to talk to you about just amazing people a lot. We often read lists of names of people who've passed, right? We do that annually around 9/11, or we do it in different ways in different places. We don't often read the names of people who are transitioning in other ways. And all of these folks, as you mentioned, Elaine, are transitioning in their lives to deeper and more expansive ways of caring for the more than just human world. So I would love if you all would grace me with the ability to say their names aloud. Adele Christensen, Alex Peters, Elise, and I'm going to, oh boy, all of you help me with the grace on the last names. Marco Tully, Angela Elric, Erin Dahl, Asher Naxon, Aurora Hunt, Beth Mandelbaum, Carla Gentry, Sherry Hellman, Cheryl Atem Alexander, Christian Ventura, Christina Fitz, who you met earlier, Daniel Burek, Deb Benario Martin, Denise Schaefer, who read our tenets for us today, Elaine Hutchinson, Estella Torres, Jeannie Joseph, Gigi Alexander, Jackie Sailing, Jai Berkaiga. I'm going to take that away, Jai. We got to talk so I know how to pronounce your last name perfectly. Janet Madden, Janice Lakers, Jerry Okamata Tanaka, Jessica Hoffman, John Parker, and Julia Helmke. But wait, that's not all. I feel like I've got a Ginsu commercial in me here somewhere. But wait, that's not all. Here's the rest of these wonderful folks. Julie Matson, Karen Kohler, Katie Snicker, Christy Zahn, Christina Miller, Lars Pardo, Lisa Lyle Wagoner, Louise Green, Mark Newman, Mary Ann Bombera, Melissa Hubble, Michelle Carrera, Noelle Noli. Noelle, I love saying your name. Noelle Noli. Noelle Noli. Paula Ford, Paula Newman, Renee Athe, Robin Bisha, Sarah Scott, Sarah Wilkes, Sharon Martin, Sophie Gamond, Stacy Dodd, Stephanie Aaron, Susie Silver, Terry Ray Goldsworthy, Terry Van Slyke, Tina Cruz, Terry Brando, who will be joining us in a little bit for our final blessing, Valerie Richards, and Zaid Evans. So at the risk of scaring Phil by allowing all of the turning on of videos, if I just mentioned your name and you would like to be seen in this community, please feel free to click on the button, hey Carla, that says turn on video, so you can give a wave so that we can get a look at you in your habitats. We are so delighted that you are part of our community, that you've completed the 6 months. Some of you will be talking about again in 3 months as you finish up the 9-month ordination program. For those of you who have just been with us for 6 months, we are so excited to see what you are going to do in the world. May your paths be blessed. May your work be blessed. May you have moments of rest. Yes, rest. May you have moments of grace when things feel wobbly. May you have moments where the world is very shiny, and may you stretch yourself into those places that feel prickly.